We'll start this morning with some big breaking news.
U.S. President Donald Trump has once again found himself at the center of controversy after publicly lashing out at an Australian journalist during a press engagement, accusing the reporter of hurting Australia by raising questions about his business dealings while in office. The clash occurred during a joint appearance that was meant to highlight cooperation between the United States and Australia, but instead drew global attention for the tense exchange. The moment unfolded when the Australian journalist, known for being forthright and unwilling to shy away from difficult questions, asked Trump whether his extensive business empire had influenced any policy decisions he had made while president. The question referenced concerns that had persisted since his election in 2016, when critics argued that Trump had never fully divested from his businesses, raising potential conflicts of interest. Rather than addressing the issue directly, Trump dismissed the question outright and launched into a combative response, insisting that such reporting undermines Australia's global reputation. Trump's accusation that the journalist was hurting Australia by pressing him on the matter raised eyebrows both in Washington and Canberra. Observers noted that his attempt to link criticism of him personally to damage against Australia was unusual, and some analysts saw it as a deflection tactic designed to avoid answering a substantive question. The incident sparked debate over whether Trump's remarks would strain the strong diplomatic ties between the two nations, or whether the confrontation would be brushed aside as another example of his unconventional communication style. The former businessman has long been accused of mixing personal and political interests. Questions about Trump's hotels, golf courses, and licensing deals around the world became frequent during his first term, with watchdog groups and lawmakers in the United States raising concerns about foreign leaders or entities seeking to curry favor with him through his businesses. Trump, however, has consistently denied any wrongdoing, claiming that his presidency cost him money rather than enriching him, and arguing that he placed his assets in a trust run by his family to avoid conflicts. Still, critics argue that this arrangement fell short of the traditional blind trusts used by past presidents, and that his refusal to release full tax records for much of his time in office only deepened suspicion. By framing the journalist's question as an attack on Australia rather than an inquiry into his own actions, Trump shifted the narrative in a way that left many puzzled. Media commentators in Australia described the president's words as an attempt to intimidate the press and redirect criticism. Some journalists suggested that Trump was playing on the notion of national pride, trying to equate criticism of him with disloyalty to the country. This rhetorical approach is not new for Trump, who has often branded his critics as unpatriotic or enemies of progress. In the days following the exchange, reactions were split. Supporters of the president echoed his line, arguing that foreign journalists should not disrespect a sitting U.S. president during diplomatic events. They viewed the question as inappropriate and accused the reporter of attempting to embarrass Trump on an international stage. On the other hand, critics argued that a free press has the responsibility to ask tough questions regardless of setting, and that Trump's outburst revealed his sensitivity to ongoing scrutiny over his finances. Australian officials have tried to play down the incident, emphasizing that the broader relationship between the two allies remains strong. Canberra is eager to avoid diplomatic fallout, particularly at a time when regional security concerns in the Indo-Pacific require close cooperation between Washington and its partners. Yet the episode has nonetheless sparked conversations in Australia about the balance between journalistic freedom and diplomatic protocol. Some media figures defended the journalist for doing his job, while others worried that the heated moment could overshadow policy discussions that were meant to strengthen cooperation on defense, trade, and climate challenges. In the United States, the confrontation adds to a long list of battles Trump has had with the press. Throughout his political career, he has frequently dismissed critical media coverage as fake news and singled out individual journalists for attack, often turning press conferences into contentious spectacles. This latest episode suggests that his combative approach remains unchanged, and that he continues to see aggressive questioning not as part of democratic accountability but as personal hostility. Political analysts suggest that Trump's choice of words accusing the journalist of hurting Australia may have been calculated to create a wedge between the reporter and the public. By presenting himself as a defender of Australia's honour, Trump sought to frame the journalist as an adversary of national interests. This framing, however, risks alienating not just the journalist but also wider segments of the public who see press freedom as a cornerstone of democratic society. The incident also underscores the enduring tension between Trump's business persona and his political role. For many voters, his success as a businessman was one of the key reasons they supported him in the first place, believing that his outsider status and deal-making skills would translate into effective governance. However, the blending of his private business dealings with public office has been a recurring point of contention, one that continues to haunt him years into his political career. Ultimately, the confrontation with the Australian journalist illustrates the challenges that come with Trump's style of leadership. His ability to command attention and dominate narratives is undeniable, but so too is his tendency to conflate personal criticism with attacks on national identity. As the dust settles, the broader question remains, does such rhetoric strengthen alliances by rallying supporters, or does it risk undermining them by creating unnecessary friction? For now, both Washington and Canberra appear keen to move past the episode, focusing instead on shared strategic priorities. But the image of a US president accusing an Australian journalist of hurting Australia simply for asking a legitimate question will linger in the minds of many. It is a reminder of the uneasy relationship between Trump and the press, and of the wider debates about accountability, diplomacy, and the responsibilities of those who hold the highest offices of power.